The movie begins somewhere in Chile, where recently retired assassin Michael Green is enjoying himself with a woman named Sindy at his luxurious mansion's pool. Unbeknownst to him, a team of assassins is preparing to eliminate him. Sindy serves as the bait, distracting Green while a sniper, Facundo, takes the first shot from a distance. Shortly after, Hilde and Alexei close in and shoot him at close range. Hilde delivers the final blow, killing him with a headshot while remarking that he's gotten old. The team is then picked up by their helicopter pilot, Karl, and they leave the scene. At a hospital in Seattle, Washington, assassin Duncan Vizla, known as the Black Kaiser, undergoes a medical examination for numerous injuries sustained during past missions, including a punctured lung and a piece of metal lodged near his chest. Later, Duncan meets with his accountant, Lomas. With just 14 days left until his retirement from his career as an assassin, Duncan is preparing to settle down in a quiet suburban town at an undisclosed location. Financially secure, he owns multiple properties and regularly donates $200,000 to charity each year. He instructs his accountant to stay in touch with him at his Florida address. Duncan later meets with Vivian, his handler and former lover, who has been sent by his former boss, Mr. Blut, the owner of Damocles. Vivian assigns him a mission in Belarus to eliminate a target allegedly responsible for the murders of Michael Green and 4 other retired assassins. She explains that the killings were orchestrated by the Russian mob, who hired a Mexican hitman, Pedro Gonzales, to execute the attacks. Duncan is promised a $1 million payday, but leaves without responding. He then arrives in the small town of Triple Oak, Montana, stopping to buy groceries and adopting a dog for $50, which he names Rusty. At his remote cabin on the outskirts of town, Duncan struggles with recurring nightmares about a family he once killed. Jolted awake by the nightmares, he accidentally shoots Rusty and later buries the dog outside his cabin. Noticing that his neighbor, Camille, is struggling to split a log, Duncan quietly helps her by splitting the logs while she is away. That night, Vivian contacts Duncan to confirm if he accepts the mission and increases the offer to $2 million, half upfront and the rest upon completion. Duncan, known as the most feared assassin in the world, intimidates Vivian, who wishes Blut would leave him alone. However, Blut, unable to afford the $8 million pension owed to Duncan, wants him eliminated. Blut's plan involves sending Duncan to Belarus on a suicide mission. Blut is deeply in debt, owing $29 million to creditors, and faces significant financial strain from mandatory pensions for his assassins once they turn 50. To avoid these payouts, Blut orchestrates their murders before they reach retirement age, ensuring the pensions revert to his company, Damocles, as stipulated in their contracts. The combined pensions for assassins nearing 50 total $29 million. Blut plans to sell Damocles and artificially inflate its value by eliminating retired operatives and reclaiming their benefits. In a luxurious hotel in Minsk, Belarus, Duncan disguises himself as a locksmith. When confronted by his target, Pedro Gonzales, he quickly overpowers him, pinning him to the wall. He then eliminates the rest of Gonzales' men while lying prone on the floor, shooting them with precision. Realizing he has been set up as the true target, Duncan interrogates Gonzales, using a drill to his head. When Gonzales refuses to reveal any useful information, Duncan executes him with a shot between the eyes. Duncan contacts Vivian, who panics upon realizing he has uncovered the conspiracy against him and her involvement in it. Meanwhile, Blut dispatches his elite A-team to track down and kill Duncan. They locate his residence by violently interrogating his accountant, Lomas, eventually extracting a list of Duncan's current properties. After securing the information, they kill Lomas. The A-team tracks down one of Duncan's properties in Miami, Florida, and sends Sindy in as a honey trap to lure him out. However, a perverted tenant living there mistakes Sindy for a prostitute, grabs her, and slaps her. Enraged, Sindy's team bursts in and Hilde shoots the man's brain out. Furious about the slap, Sindy repeatedly stabs the corpse. The team continues working through Duncan's property list, killing the occupants at each location but finding no trace of him. Meanwhile, Duncan is at a diner talking with his neighbor Camille, a young, timid, and easily frightened woman. As their friendship grows, Camille opens up about a traumatic event in her past caused by a single individual, someone she hopes to confront one day. After delivering a graphic and ill-fated talk at a local school about foreign countries in combat, Duncan is asked never to return due to the disturbing nature of his demonstration. Later, he gives Camille a gun as a gift and tries to teach her how to shoot, but she becomes visibly distressed and breaks down, unsettled by the weapon. Despite his meticulous efforts to remain hidden, Duncan is tracked down through his annual $200,000 donations made via a Montana bank. One evening, on his way home from a trip to town, Duncan encounters Sindy stranded by the roadside with a broken-down car. Her phone is dead, and she needs to charge it to call a tow truck. Duncan brings her back to his house, where they learn that, due to the storm, the tow truck won't arrive until the next morning. That night, they end up having sex. As they are in bed, the rest of the squad moves in. Sniper Facundo prepares to fire, but Duncan notices the laser sight and moves Sindy, causing her to take the hit instead. Duncan quickly grabs his gun and returns fire. Facundo continues shooting, guided by Sindy, until Duncan kills her and finishes her off with an axe to the head. Hilde and Karl burst into the house, but Duncan gets the drop on Facundo, killing him with a shot to the head. Hilde tries to distract Duncan with flares, while Karl informs Alexei to activate Plan B. Karl attempts to sneak up on Duncan, but shoots a decoy dummy instead, allowing Duncan to kill him from behind. Using Facundo's sniper rifle with thermal sights, Duncan spots Hilde hiding behind cover and shoots her, killing her. Searching Karl's pockets, Duncan finds a motel key and heads there, discovering Alexei's girlfriend, Junkie Jane. From her, he learns that his neighbor Camille has been kidnapped by Alexei. Rushing to Camille's house, Duncan finds it empty. Vivian advises Blut to pay Duncan the $8 million pension so he can retire peacefully and Blut can enjoy the rest of his life. However, Blut angrily refuses, smashing objects in frustration, and insists that this is personal. Duncan travels to Detroit, Michigan, to meet his former mentor, Porter. He explains the situation and seeks information about Camille's whereabouts. However, Porter betrays him, drugging Duncan before revealing anything. Duncan is then captured and tortured by Blut for 3 days, during which he loses his left eye and suffers other gruesome injuries. Camille is also drugged and held captive during this time. Overnight, Duncan uses a broken blade to pick the locks on his shackles. By morning, he kills several of Blut's henchmen and escapes the mansion. Duncan seeks help from another former lover, Jazmin. He contacts Vivian to deliver a message to Blut, offering to trade his life for Camille's. Jazmin tends to Duncan's wounds, and over the next few days, as he regains his strength, she provides him with weapons and equipment to prepare for the fight against Blut and his men. When the trade is set, Duncan deliberately allows his phone to be tracked, leading Vivian and a task force to ambush him at an abandoned factory. Watching through surveillance cameras from his mansion, Blut monitors the operation. Out of respect for their past, Duncan offers Vivian a chance to leave unharmed, but she refuses. Using remote-controlled machine guns provided by Jazmin, Duncan wipes out the entire task force in seconds, as Blut watches in shock. Gravely injured, Vivian sees Duncan walk away, heading directly to Blut's mansion. Duncan arrives, and Blut's remaining men desert him rather than face Duncan's wrath. Duncan then decapitates Blut in retaliation for his actions. After discovering the heavily drugged Camille, Duncan takes her back to Montana and cares for her in her cabin. The next morning, he wakes to find her missing. While searching her room, he uncovers newspaper clippings from 20 years earlier detailing the murder of the family that haunts his nightmares, along with $200,000 donation stubs. Camille reveals that she is the surviving daughter of the family Duncan had spared during the hit, and that he has been secretly supporting her financially ever since. Driven by the trauma of her family's murder, Camille tracked Duncan down to exact revenge. However, despite her intentions, she finds herself unable to kill him. Moved by her pain, Duncan promises to help Camille uncover who ordered the hit on her father. If you enjoyed this video, Don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.